The Killer was directed by David Fincher and written by Andrew Kevin Walker. These two collaborated on Seven, which just so happens to be one of my favorite films of all time, and it stars Michael Fassbender. So after a fateful near-miss, an assassin battles his employers and himself on an international manhunt he insists isn't personal. I always love going to the movies, but if I'm seeing a new David Fincher movie in a theater, I'm going to be really excited, and that has not happened since 2014. Because I saw Mank at home, this is my first time seeing a new Fincher film in a theater since Gone Girl, and as a filmmaker I've learned so much from him. I've studied his films over the years, and his incredible precision that many people have talked about forever. This movie is perfect for David Fincher. It's about someone who thrives on precision, is very patient, who will wait for a very long time to get the job done properly, but is constantly throwing obstacles his way that thwart his attempts at precision. If you know anything about David Fincher as a filmmaker, then you know a lot of those things transfer over to him as a director, except for a constant narration. Michael Fassbender's character is not only nameless, but mostly silent. He has a few lines in the movie, but he does a lot of staring. Think Ryan Gosling and Drive. This guy goes to places, kills people, and then goes other places and kills people, and that's really what he does, and that's what most of the film is. And it will turn off some viewers, because at one point in the movie I realized that it really is just about watching him get the job done. For some people that's going to be boring, but I found it fairly investing. One of the things that Fincher does a lot in the movie is show a considerable amount of brand names, Amazon Postmates, as well as things like sleeping medications, and it seemed to me that Fincher was in a way showing how easy it is for a killer to manipulate the system and use things that we all have access to murder people a lot, and how our reliance on the ease and simplicity of things that technology has given us could make it easier for somebody like Michael Fassbender's assassin to get to us. The film's morality is a little murky, and that will also challenge people. Michael Fassbender's assassin kills a lot of folks, and there's people that you don't necessarily think are going to die that definitely die, and he often repeats this mantra to himself that involves saying don't have any empathy, and you see him throughout the course of the movie make choices that seem to reflect someone who does not have empathy, while also being on a path of revenge after a mission goes wrong, which of course is in direct contradiction to his mantra that he keeps repeating to himself, because he wouldn't be doing the things that he's doing in the movie if he didn't have any empathy. But he cares enough about something that happens in the film early on to take a lot of risks and kill a lot of people that did him wrong in a certain way, and so he's a fascinating character, but also a very frustrating character, because he's so intent on precision and being careful and cold and calculated while not caring about a single person. But it completely contradicts the entire mission that he's on, which is revenge, which you tend to only want if you have been emotionally wronged in some way. Now you can view that as the film being in conflict with its main character, or being in opposition with its main character, where you could just view it as something the writer and director have overlooked, which I strongly think is not the case. I don't think Fincher and Walker are necessarily condoning the acts of this assassin like many people were worried about with Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix's Joker movie, but I think Fincher's seeming obsession with cynicism and nihilism is reflected here in a character that doesn't believe in anything or anyone except for his home life that we briefly witness that has become threatened, and that is probably my biggest issue with the movie, is how briefly we witness his home life, the idea that something happens to someone he cares about and that sets him on this path. We've seen this more times than I can even count. There's so many examples of movies where a guy gets a gun to take revenge because something happened, and sometimes it works really well, but the thing that's different about this movie is that it really does not take a lot of time to establish why he was emotionally wronged. In some way you just kind of get the sense that this has happened, and you see the results of something that went down. I won't get into spoilers, but a movie like, say, Death Sentence from James Wan starring Kevin Bacon takes a lot of time to set up this happy family, and you really do feel that violation of this character when it happens, and this movie does not attempt to do that, and so it asks you to watch a man ruthlessly kill a series of people in a very methodical way without knowing a whole lot of his motivations. This too will challenge audiences. I found it to be a risk that mostly paid off to really hammer home how much of a risk this character is. This movie's idea of what has commonly become known as saving the cat in a screenplay, which is an act in which our hero is endeared to us by some form of goodwill. This movie's version of saving the cat is our assassin killing someone in a way so that their children won't wonder how it happened. What? That's it. That's the closest this guy gets to an act of goodwill. I've gone this whole video without mentioning a single thing about the camera work or cinematography, but if you've ever seen a Fincher movie you know that it is going to be essentially perfect, and it is just an absolutely gorgeous movie in every way. I loved what he did with the sound design as well, because our guy is often listening to music on his headphones. Sometimes a film will choose, alright, you're going to hear the music the whole scene the way they're hearing it in their heads, or you're going to be outside of their head and you're going to hear it from the headphones perspective. Very tinny and electronic sounding. This movie doesn't do that. If you are in his POV you hear the music and 7.1 surround sound. If you're outside of his POV and we're looking at him now, you're hearing it from the headphones, and every time the angle changes you're getting that sound everywhere that the headphone is in placement in that room, and that happens throughout the whole movie, whether you're in his car and you're hearing his heater, or you're outside of his car and then you're back in it and that sound is moving around. It's meticulously crafted sound design, and I could not sing in higher praises. Fassbender is extremely good in this movie. He's perfect for the role. Tilda Swinton has a fantastic sequence, but like almost every David Fincher movie, the star is David Fincher and his direction is swift, sleek, and filled with innovation. The story itself isn't necessarily as innovative as his filmmaking techniques. It's essentially about a killer who kills folks and goes about his day, but it's fascinating to watch, and I found it, as I said, a very risky choice for a lead character. I was very happy to see the film in theaters, even though it will be on Netflix. Please do try to find a theater showing it. Thank you so much as always for watching. I look forward to more videos very soon. If you like this, you can click right here and get stuck mechanized.